very much, Cathaoirleach. The issue of ultrasound is quite complicated, but if I can clarify it within the 4 parameters that this legislation is proposing. So if you take the first parameter, where it is proposed that termination of pregnancy can occur if there's a risk to the life or the health of the mother. In that instance, that baby is a much wanted baby, and circumstances have overcome that pregnancy so that the life of the woman is at risk, or her health is at risk, or serious harm. That woman will have had several ultrasounds because her pregnancy will be monitored. There will be no necessity for her to have a compulsory ultrasound. She will be having ultrasound carried out during normal obstetric practice. So in the issue of the risk to the life or the health of the mother, there will be ultrasounds going on to monitor that pregnancy. It will be a much wanted pregnancy, and it will be devastating for that mother if that pregnancy has to be terminated to preserve her life or to preserve her health. When you come to the case of risk of life in an emergency, there may or may not be an ultrasound, or there may or may not be time for an ultrasound. It's not relevant in that situation. When you come to the condition likely to lead to the death of a fetus or fatal fetal abnormality, again, there will have been many ultrasounds in that circumstance. There will be high-definition ultrasounds to accurately identify the fatal fetal abnormality. Again, not an issue in relation to this amendment. The 4th issue then is in relation to early pregnancy. And ultrasound may or may not be clinically indicated in relation to that pregnancy, because it may be necessary to have an ultrasound to date that pregnancy. But that will be a clinical decision. And this amendment says shall, which means must, within 24 hours, at least 24 hours for termination of pregnancy. So yes, people who are seeking a termination before 12 weeks may, from a clinical point of view, need an ultrasound to date their pregnancy, or possibly to identify an ectopic pregnancy. And there are very reasonable reasons to seek an ultrasound. But again, enshrining that in legislation, I don't think is the way to go about it. That will be a clinical decision. And I'm just reading the amendment, and I don't know if it makes the amendment valid or not, but in section 9A, it refers to, in the case of a termination of pregnancy to be carried out in accordance with section 10 or 12, the obstetrician by whom the termination of pregnancy is to be carried out. They're the wrong sections, because a new section was inserted at committee stage. So that should read section 11 and 14, I think. And also in relation to 9B, section 13, I believe, should be section 14. So there are just technical issues in relation to the amendment anyway. But in relation to ultrasound, it is a complex issue, but for many of the circumstances in which women will seek a termination, ultrasounds will already have been carried out. It's only in early pregnancy that there may be a need for an ultrasound, depending on dating or to outrule an ectopic pregnancy. Thank you.